Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning back in to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. We're going to do our traditional little talk to get everything set up before we go into our opening animation. But I want to thank you guys for following along with us, for sharing this, to make sure that you and your local comic shop are able to be aware of all the incredible comics that come out each month, as well as go on Final Order Cutoff every Monday. So don't forget to share this with everyone, especially if you know somebody who might want to order a comic that might miss it if they don't get those orders in early because they aren't the Wednesday Warrior able to make it through. Also, if you know somebody who's always after that specific cover, that is after that hot new book, this is the show for them to make sure they don't ever miss out on the things they want to get. So I thank you guys all. Throwing out the comments in there, giving the like on Facebook and YouTube and all the other streaming services we're on always helps massively, so we can get in front of as many people as possible and make sure that everyone reaches out to their local comic shop and orders the comics they want, so they are guaranteed to get the books they need. All right. All right, thank you guys for tuning in to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. We're going to be talking about books that are on Final Order Cutoff Monday, December 16th later, but we have an incredible special guest that I want to bring on first. He has an amazing comic on Final Order Cutoff this week, as well as he's been doing some incredible comics and graphic novels of late, as well as for much of his incredibly epic career in comics. So I want to bring on the incomparable Cena Grace.
Hey,
how's it going, Tina?
Very good. I was just you're reminding me. I'm like, I've got comics to read. So when I was in the green room, I was reading. This is a graphic novel, but I'm reading Bird King Volume 3 by Daniel Friedman and this really cool tattoo artist Crom. It's getting so much love in Europe, and like, it's just a bummer because I think like fantasy series, much less kind of like offbeat fantasy series, are a little harder to find like a huge audience in the States, unless you're like pushing really hard, or you have Dan Mora drawing you and it's once in the future.
But that's the reason for a show like this. It's so that way you can discover amazing comics like Bird King and reach out to your local comic shop and tell them you want it, so they'll stock it for you.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here, and this is a great resource. So thank you for inviting me, because I do feel like 2025 is gonna begin a lot more sort of like, you're going to see a lot more of me in the direct market I feel like in the pandemic, I was doing a lot of like graphic novels, as you brought up. And I'm just kind of excited to have a couple things to be like, you got to order it by this date. Otherwise, you know, the whole print run's fucked. Sorry, pardon my French.
So on that note, before we dive into the upcoming comics of 2025, let's talk a little bit about what you've done in the past. I mean, you've been editor, you've been writer, you've been artist. Let's discuss what started you in the industry.
I you know, I'm following the whims of a 9-year-old boy. It's in my fifth grade yearbook. I should pull up the picture where like it says my dream job is to be a comic book illustrator. So it's just one of those things that I kept going with, you know, through the years, and stuck with it. And something I always tell people is like, if you love something and you hit a hurdle, and instead of the hurdle stopping you, you become hungry to get over that hurdle, that's when you know you got to keep going. Because it was one of those things where it's like, you know, every kid loves to draw, but it's the rare kid that knows they're drawing something wrong and wants to draw it better and figures out how to draw it better. But yeah, like comic book illustrator. So I don't know if it's backwards for other people, but, and my favorite memory was the last day of school. I was a punk even then. So yeah, I you know, I wanted to learn how to draw, and I was just kind of looking things up online. I am very lucky to have been raised in Los Angeles because there are some comic book publishers out here. So I was able to intern at Top Cow Productions in high school. And then, yeah, just started like self-publishing, making zines and comics, and building on that, doing a little web comic that became a little print comic called The Little Depressed Boy. And yeah, somewhere along the way, I got another editorial job as editorial director for Robert Kirkman, and his new company called Skybound. So that was an interesting couple of years of my life. That is not my Nightwing, but that's hot.
That is, well, we'll be talking about that Nightwing and how
we're just talking about that Nightwing. Woof. Sorry. Oh, these are just cool covers now. Sorry, I'm like, I saw one of my covers and I was like, oh, I think we're talking about me. But yeah, it's just something I've wanted to do, and I kept following it, and I'm at a pretty cool place now where I can do a lot of different genres, and you know, I'm invited by kind of like readers in all arenas, and it's just been great because I love every kind of comic book. So, you know, it just warms my heart that I also get to kind of make any kind of comic book, except for manga. Manga is like, I'm not going to be that guy that's like, yeah, I can do manga. I can't do manga. That's hard. That's just hard.
Well, I mean, you've done some major titles, everything from editing on The Walking Dead to doing
and Invincible. Now we have to say Invincible. We have to say
Invincible. Yeah,
Invincible was always my favorite, and now Invincible is this mega amazing cartoon. So it's cool. Yeah, now I get to say and Invincible, because yeah, before it was the Walking Dead. You were I was the Walking Dead editor, and now I'm like, and Invincible, motherfuckers. And I love Super Dinosaur too, but Invincible was always my favorite. But yeah, I've gotten to do a lot of things, and I got to do this Iceman series at Marvel that was really important for the LGBT community. And now I've been at DC for 5 years, and I got to write and draw this YA Superman graphic novel called The Harvest of Youth. Yeah, and that's like so special to me. It's such a great book, I think. And it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a part of the conversation next year when the new Superman movie comes out. I think it's gonna be the thing that DC's kind of like, all right, you get this, you get Birthright, you get All-Star Superman. I'm hoping that, because it's, you know, it's he's young enough, and I feel like my paw can't influence their paw can't when you see the casting.
Yeah, no, it is a great graphic novel. You can reach out to your local comic shop if it's not already stocked all over their shelves, because it is an early tale of Clark Kent in Smallville. But you also gave us a wonderful tale with Clark's son very recently with famed actress Nicole Maines.
Yeah,
and that was Absolute Power Super Son.
That was cool. I've done some event tie-ins before, but never as in-depth as this, because yeah, that one shot is like, it takes place between like 2 hours of other events in the event. Like, so it was wild to need to know geographically where every character was, and to like to get to talk to Mark Waid, and because it's down to like the minute in this event, and Mark is like the chief architect of it. It was like, oh, I get to text message Mark Waid, and that's what a cool thing. Like like the kid who bought Kingdom Come is like, wait, Mark's in my phone. That's cool. And Nicole's amazing, and we kind of crafted this really great story where you get to see these two perspectives. And at the time we couldn't, I mean, Absolute Power's been out, we can talk about things, but like Dreamer is perceived as dead, and we had to like play with that tension because we had to have John believe that she's dead. And so it was a fun challenge, and she and I just like ended up getting along really well in that process, and kind of like strong-armed everyone into letting us tell the story we wanted to tell. And I think it turned out great. I think it's a weird, fun, kind of messy dreamscape of a story, but we did some really cool stuff. And then we got John Timms to draw the part I wrote, and John Timms was the guy who started off art duties on the Tom Taylor run of the John Kent Superman book. So that was like a huge honor for me. I was like, oh my God, like I've poured over that volume over and over again. So to like get to work with him and get to have him say like, yeah, this is a valid John Kent story, or like this is just as canon as the rest. It was so cool. And now he's drawing Aquaman, and boy, do I wish I was the one writing that book, because it just looks so cool. But Jeremy Adams is going to do a great job. I love him.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one when Aquaman releases later this month. Wow, yeah.
Oh gosh.
But now you've definitely had some stories, obviously, set with Metropolis Heroes. Let's go into 2025, the comic that is on FOC this Monday, December 16th. So reach out to your local comic shop and let them know you want DC's Lex in the City. Can you talk us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is DC's romance anthology, and I got the title story. And the way that happened was an editor at DC was like, "Hey, you gotta just make sure you're the one writing the story. It hasn't been assigned yet, but we have a title, Lex in the City." And it's a really important story to me, I think, because he's such an interesting character, but we don't really talk about his love life, and I don't personally buy that like Lois matters to him, really. I think Lois is just a pawn in his game, like in his larger games with Superman. That's just my read on all of that. So it's kind of an interesting glance at this side of this guy, and I think the year we've had, there's been a lot of attention paid to billionaire egomaniacs. So I was kind of like, okay, Elon Musk has a lot of babies. That means he's been having a lot of procreation activity, one would assume. So it's like, okay, clearly like girls out there want to fuck this guy. So I kind of wanted to get in the head of that. And the story is told through Trish Q. She's one of the Daily Planet reporters. She's a gossip columnist there. And we get to see her. She has this opportunity to interview Lex Luthor, but she kind of needs it to be a big deal because her sort of like corner of the planet isn't doing so well. So she's like, I need this to hit. I need to be relevant again. Otherwise, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've like burned through all my money, and like, I got to make this work. So it's a really cool kind of like cat and mouse game between the two of them, because they both need to use each other for something. And obviously Lex is going to, undervalue and undermine this like gossip columnist. And obviously she has like no respect for this guy because she just thinks he's a blowhard. So it's a fun, like I tried to make it real fun and flirty and interesting and kind of show a side of Lex we haven't seen yet. Because again, I think like you can't get to where he is without like a little charm, and so that was fun for me. And I got to write and draw it, which was so cool. I have never been able to like write and draw like a full story in like the DC, like the main side, like the YA side. It just people, even readers, like they treat it like it's different. So it's cool to be like, yeah, but like that's me over here. So I'm really happy. I'm really proud of it. I haven't read any of the other stories, but I assume they're as good and as important as mine.
Well, and I mean, it's great that you managed to get a gossip columnist in this, because if anyone is not familiar with who Carrie Bradshaw is, do you want to enlighten everyone as what the joke is with Lex in the City?
Yeah, so the title's a play on Sex in the City, the show from HBO that has now spawned 2 movies, 6 seasons, and like a new revival reboot show that we don't want to talk about. So that was the funny thing too, was originally it was all I wrote it as all through Trisha's perspective, because I was like, oh, let's talk about kind of what like Carrie Bradshaw looks like in Metropolis. And then I was chatting about it with my friend Josh Trujillo, who just wrapped up a stupendous Blue Beetle run. And he was like, it's gotta be through Lex's perspective. And I was like, but then like we're too close to him. He's like, yeah, but like, that's what the reader's coming in for. Like, that's what they want. And there's so much on the table you're going to be missing if you don't have that perspective. But I was like, oh, if I do that, like, I don't want people to think I'm going to do the, like, I just didn't want to fall into any traps. Like, I didn't want this to be silly or trivial or have people think I'm going to make like a goof out of Lex Luthor by having him be kind of like the Carrie Bradshaw, the neurotic writer of it. So instead, I just have this thing where the framing device is he has a laptop that's not plugged into anything, a secret laptop that he journals in. And so that's kind of why he has like, you know, a little bit of an over descriptive narrative voice throughout the story.
I love it. And I love Amanda Connor doing an amazing cover homaging that classic opening scene from the Sex and the City.
So good. So good. Yeah, it's so good too, because it's like, it's just enough that, and then it's just enough comic book. Like, I love it. And I love that it's also like the splash is because of Superman. It's just great. It's just great. And that's the other thing too, was like the tension of like, do I even put Superman in this? And I was like, we don't need him. We don't need him. There was a version where he shows up for a second, and I was like, he's not needed. Okay, so these are the variant covers.
Yeah, so that is Sozo Micah's variant cover. And then we also have Sowies with the beloved couple of Harley and Poison Ivy.
Oh my God, these are hot. I'm so glad I'm getting these for free. Does Lex have a weird relationship with shoes? That's all I know about Sex and the City. I pay attention to what shoes he's wearing. It's funny because I was going to put him in these $800 sandals that I was looking up online. And then I ended up kind of like down designing them because they were just sort of a little too ostentatious, and like I was like, that's not Lex Luthor. Like, so he has like a very expensive watch, and the clothes do play a lot into it. We have I'm working with Nick Filardi, who's coloring the story, and he was really great, and he had to put up with like a lot of my bullshit of me being like, wait, no, so this is actually this thing, but like here's like, oh sorry.
Oh, there you go. First look right there.
How do I make it not do that? Is it too bright? Hold on, wait, maybe it's too bright. There we go. Yeah, like look at that. Look at that handsome, evil man. Here's kind of like us playing with like the like iconic Carrie Bradshaw on our computer. That chair, I have a rich friend. I asked my rich friend, I was like, what's like a good rich person chair? And he said this name. I didn't know what it was. I looked it up online. That chair is like, if you have an actual one by this chair designer, is like $36,000. So I was like, yeah, that sounds like Lex Luthor. See, that's, man, I wish I had that line, because there is a scene where someone asks like, oh, like, what do you think about Lex Luthor? And this girl's like, I'd kind of do him. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I can show. I don't know. There's so many good. Here, wait. This is not a spoiler, but like, this is like a funny little flirtatious scene where like Trisha's like, show me your panic room, and Lex says, which one? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Anyway, sorry. It's fun. It's flirty. There's good clothes in it, and yeah, I'm really happy. And so that kind of like leads me into a really good start to 2025, because at the end of the month, can I talk about what comes out at the end of the month? Yeah, and then at the end of the month, This is, I mean, back in the YA territory, but this is a book called West Hollywood Monster Squad. It's going to come out in both paperback and hardcover. And I wrote it all, and it's drawn by this awesome artist named Bradley Clayton. It's like really, really cool art. And it's about a group of kids who go to West Hollywood to see their favorite drag queen. They're all kind of having a really big friend fight. And like right as like things hit a boil with them, like monsters just come crashing through the window, and the city is taken over by these magenta monsters. So it's like, you know, their personal world is ending, and then actually like the literal world might be ending. And it was just my way of, I wanted to do like an action horror movie where I don't have to project my friend group onto these characters that, like, you know, just don't reflect my life or like my lifestyle. And yeah, I just wanted to have like the world saved by a bunch of like homos.
So who publishes this amazing graphic novel?
That's going to come out through Abrams, the Shirley imprint. That's Mariko Tamaki's imprint at Abrams. So they did like the Far Flung from Space book, the one that was about Patricia Highsmith, which was super good and won a ton of awards. And it's great. And I'll be real honest here. We had a meeting with a publicist at that company, and the publicist was like, "Yeah, we're on like a narrow timeline, like blah 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 blah. Like we'll get things going in January." The publicist quit the next day, so so the artist and I are like, we're in PR mode, and we're gonna have to figure out some stuff. So keep it on your eyes, keep it on your minds. I'll figure out how to promote it. I think I'm gonna like order a box of books and like go to like the city of West Hollywood office and like give all the office workers a copy. And like, I think the artist Bradley's gonna come out here, and we're gonna go to all the gay bars in West Hollywood and hand out stacks to bartenders, just because, like, you know, at the very least, it's like we gotta give it back to the community that inspired the book. You know, I think everyone everywhere in America knows the song Pink Pony Club, which is about a gay bar in West Hollywood. So I feel like it's in the air. If I can use Chapel Roan somehow to help us, like the gods of Chapel Roan can please help us promote this book. But that's the end of January, and then I go into February, and I'm writing an issue of Shazam. So that's cool. Shazam number 20. So yeah, it's like 2025 is starting out super cool. I'm really excited for what's coming. Like I was telling a friend, I was like, think like there's some stuff that's just going to be good. There's some stuff that's going to be bad, and there's stuff that's just going to be good, you know? And yeah, my publishing corner feels good next year.
Okay, so if you're loving Cena, obviously you're going to want to get your orders in this week for DC's Lex in the City. What issue of Shazam do we have you on?
That's number 20.
Number 20, so you can let your comic shop know if you want Shazam number 20. That's going to be awesome. So not only are you talking and texting with Mark Waid, you're taking over his book, apparently.
Yeah. I wish. Yeah, no. Well, that's just a fill-in because I think the writer is on a brief leave, but that's good. And also for John Kent fans, it's going to be a really fascinating issue because John Kent shows up to Billy's door and is de-aged again. And, you know, like, as someone who loves Super Sons, I had the time of my life writing that script because I love John Kent now and I love John Kent then. And it's just, and after everything he's been through, it's so fun to like play with like both sides of his fandom and give them everything and nothing that they want. You know, I'm having the blast. Like I'm going to get trolled so hard. I'll probably get doxxed, but I think then 2 months after, everyone will be like, that was pretty good. That's how it always goes. Okay, so it's a big issue. I think it's not just like, it's a standalone Shazam issue, and it's huge for John Kent fans. It also moves John's like narrative needle a bit too. So I think it's just good for people in terms of like, if you aren't reading every issue of Shazam, but you like that character and you kind of want to like know what's going on with John Kent, it's a good place to go for $4.
And when are we looking at the release for West Hollywood?
West Hollywood Monster Squad is January 28th.
Okay.
It might be first week of February for comic stores, right? Because like, what is it when it's book market? It's the
It's Tuesday, normally a little bit before the direct market. We did
okay, yeah. So I think book market's the 28th. So I guess you guys get it like February something.
Okay, which means
We'll
it
see.
is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop, because that's what we're doing Final Order Cutoff for right now. So if you want West Hollywood Monster Squad, let your local comic shop know. Hopefully your comic shop is already going to be stocking a pile of it, but that's all the more reason to let them know, because you got to get that West Hollywood representation in your comic shop.
And also, like, look at this. We got like the shiny. I'm just like so impressed that we got this like hollow. I don't know what you would call that. Gloss treatment on the logo, but that was like, also it's the first time anything I've like something I've 100% written's been released as a hardcover, and that was so huge to me because like I've never had that. I've been in hardcover books, but like this is like, as a writer, because Bradley did all the art, but like as a writer, like this is the first time I've had a hardcover. It's so cool. And yeah, and it's a great story. It's so catty and fun, and like I don't know, yeah, I love it. I'll stop talking. I don't need to stop talking about it, but I'll stop talking about it. But yeah, Lex in the City is going to be great, and the beginning of, I don't know, I kind of hope that it gets expanded into a series, but you never know. I think it's just such a good title. Like it's just such a good title. But it'll be fun, and yeah, things are good here.
Love it. So now that we know some of the upcoming books that you can order that have all of your amazing content in there, how can people track you down online? What are your social media, your website, so people can find more?
The nice thing about this name, this is my real name. I would never pay anyone to make this my name. So the nice thing is I kind of own it everywhere because it's a weird one. So I'm at Cena Grace. I still have X. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Threads. Just fine. Yeah. Instagram's my favorite my personal playground. I also have a Substack that I like go into depth about it. I use my Substack to try and say like, okay, here's what I've learned along the way. Here are the lessons that I've learned. Here are the lessons I want to impart to you. Also while promoting whatever new books I'm putting out. So I recommend my Substack for anyone who loves learning about how the cookies are made, or loves learning about the process, or needs to kind of hear that the way they make their art is okay. Because I think that's the thing I've been kind of pushing out into the world is like, you're always a student, and like the way you make art is the way you make art. So how do you make your art better? Like, how do you make more? How do you create space to make your art better and not make someone else's art?
Okay. And now, as always, you can reach out to your local comic shop to order Cena's incredible books. But if for any reason you have any issue with that, Cena also has an incredible website where you can sometimes get signed copies, and that website is?
I think it's just cenagrace.bigcartel.com or something. I have a link tree on my Instagram that will get you to all of this stuff. Yeah. And the web store, yeah, every once in a while especially if I love something and want to make sure like people grab it, I usually wait like 2-3 weeks after retailers do their business with it, and then I'll do kind of like a nice like special edition with like postcards and stickers and head sketch or something like that. But yeah, thank you for repping that. But go to your local comic store first.
I love it. Yeah. And I mean, hopefully, like I said, your local comic shop is already stocking up all these incredible Cena books. I mean, I'm sure that they probably have Walking Dead, Invincible, and Super Dinosaur. But
yeah, they're set on those, but I feel like Superman and the Harvest of Youth, like they're like, it's a YA book, we don't need it. That's a good one. It's a really, really good one. I really love that book. It's really special. That's all I'll say. And yeah, I've done a bunch of stuff for Image, but yeah, look me up online, and I've done everything for all audiences. I still think my Jughead's Time Police is my crowning achievement, if I'm being honest. I think that like everyone's like, oh, you did Iceman. I'm like, I did Jughead.
So all great ones that you can track down, and all still thankfully available through our distributors, so you can get them ordered at your local shop.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking up DC's Lex in the City, which is on FOC. We'll be talking about it shortly. as well as your other incredible projects that are going to start out 2025. Could not appreciate having you on here more, Sina.
Same. It's nice to see you. Thanks everyone for listening and watching. And yeah, let's sell some books. Let's buy some books. Let's collect some books.
All right. Thank you, Sina.
All
And
right.
now we're going to dive into the reason you guys tune in also. What is on Final Order Cutoff this Monday? So with that, we need to explain what Final Order Cutoff is.
Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you.
All right. So that is Final Order Cutoff. That is what we, the retailers, deal with. But we're going to be specifically talking about the Final Order Cutoff comics that we need orders for by Monday, December 16th. So the two easy ways to view that are the websites previewsworld.com/finalordersdue, which is going to handle all of your Image, your Marvel, Dark Horse, Boom, Dynamite, etc., and lunardistribution.com, which will have all of your DC ones. And if I can get my wonderful co-host Kyle to share the screen right now, you can see Previews World, which will have on display all of this Monday's Final Order Cutoff items, and you can always double check the due date right up there. And then on Lunar Distribution, you're going to actually start up on this amazing website. You can scroll down to upcoming FOC, check the date, and you'll see all of the DC items. So with that said, I think it's time we dive directly into talking about the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff. And we're going to start it off with Image Comics. Image has a lot of fun ones. Now, as always, there are a ton of comics every Monday that we have to finalize orders on. I am going to spotlight some of the best, biggest, and newest books, but you can go check these websites out to see everything on Final Order Cutoff. Now, big ones worth talking about. Obviously, we have the final issue of this season of Creep Show, as well as continuation of amazing books like Deadly Tales of Gunslinger Spawn, which we're waiting on issue number 1 on. So all the more important to reach out to your local comic shop and let them know if you want it, because when we have to order items ahead of the issues released, it can get a little confusing. So you want to guarantee you're not going to miss out those ones. Reach out to your local comic shop. One of the big ones I want to talk about is Tony Fleek's, Tone Rodriguez, and Trish Forrester's Feral. Feral is an amazing zombie story focusing on cats. So one of the ones I want to point out is they always do B covers that are horror movie homages. Beautiful cover that Trish put together right there on Feral number 9, as we get to the penultimate chapter of the second story arc of this zombie cat rabies apocalypse. So really, really fun one there.
With Feral and Tony's other book, Uncanny Valley, I'm almost exclusively collecting the movie poster variants, right? Like, they're so interesting and they're so fun to be able to be like, okay, I bought this book. What movie is this, friends who don't pay attention? What movie are we talking about now? And they never can friggin' tell.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll be shocked if somebody, I mean, I probably shouldn't be, but I'll be shocked if someone can guess what that Feral number 9 variant
That's not what I wanted to do.
But that being said, hey, look, Kyle's on screen. So Kyle, introduce yourself for those who are new to seeing you on here.
Well, I'm Kyle. I didn't mean to come on screen. I was trying something and I pressed the wrong button. I'm super profesh. Coughed into the microphone earlier. I am the executive producer of The Experience. I was a retailer for 15 years plus doing this. So I'm the one pressing the buttons on these Friday mornings and making little PowerPoints and helping with everything. But also, I'm a pretty avid comic buyer. My pull list is somewhere between $115 and $120 every week. Just I read a ton of books. So I'm always interested. And I've been an FOC orderer for longer than my LCS had a mechanism for people to order on FOC.
So basically since inception.
Basically, I've been one of those guys going, okay, here's the previews catalog. I want this and this and this and this and this. So, this is kind of my wheelhouse. So I'm going to turn my camera back off and I'll just talk now. But
all right, but it'll be great to have you. I mean, I needed that Andy Richter or Ed McMahon, persona to join me.
Gee,
So
Conan, I don't know, man.
All right.
My Andy Richter's not very good.
So continuing on, we have 2 G.I. Joe series that are on FOC this week. And I really want to point that out because a lot of people don't realize you have the main G.I. Joe series that is coming out from Image that is simply G.I. Joe, done by Joshua Williamson. This is part of the Energon universe, tying into Transformers and Void Rivals. But there's also G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, which is Larry Hama's ongoing series that started out in the 1980s from Marvel and is still continuing with its 313th issue on FOC. So if you love that deep continuity, that long-running G.I. Joe title that went from Marvel to IDW and is now back at Skybound, that is A Real American Hero. If you want the new, less continuity-driven and rather incredibly continuity-tied Energon Universe title, simply G.I. Joe. But another one I want to talk up is a one-shot. This is a nice, simple, easy, done-in-one book called Finders Keepers. It is part of the Horizon experiment, which was done by Pornsack Pitch and Show, an amazing, amazing series of one-shots by top creators that focus on various ethnic characters being used outside of tropic form. So Finders Keepers is done by the incredible Vita Ayala and Skylar Partridge, and it is going to be a reverse Indiana Jones tale with a Puerto Rican artifact tracker. But rather than going into areas that have been colonized and seeking out their treasures from hidden places, the protagonist of this book goes to museums and steals back the artifacts to return to their native cultures. So Finders Keepers, I think, is going to be a really fun one-shot. It is saddening to me that it is only a single book, but a $4 book that's going to have a complete story and have such an interesting topic, I think will be amazing. So Vita Ayala's Finders Keepers, I think is going to be a really, really cool, easy done in one. And there are great covers by Partridge, Tula Lote. There's even a blank.
Shout out to Pornsack Bichette Show for putting this together. When Pornsack puts together a universe, it's usually very strong. And you can see that with Man's Best and some of the other things he's done where he's brought in collaborators to really build out the world.
Yeah, the Eisner Award-winning Good Asian, very classic, highly, talked about book. So another fun one this is always where it's important to reach out to your local comic shop. Hyde Street, issue number 3. This has been a phenomenal series. People are comparing to the Twilight Zone. It is Jeff Johns and Ivan Reyes doing a interesting paranormal book. But this is why this one's important. Obviously, we're in the Christmas holiday season right now in December, but we're going to be final ordering a comic set in that time that will be releasing in late January. And a lot of times your comic shop might think, well, holiday books aren't going to do good after the holiday. But let's be honest, there's people who love Christmas 12 months out of the year. So if that's something you want, please let them know. There are some great covers on Hyde Street number 3, including that one of our protagonists standing over Santa's corpse underneath the Christmas tree. Not the traditional way you would get your gifts rather than a lump of coal. But Hyde Street number 3, fun one. We also have the penultimate issue of I Hate Fairyland's Happy Endings. A lot of Spawn books on there. But as we talk about I Hate Fairyland, which is infamously done by Scotty Young, a man who had a lot of work with the land of Oz. I mean, he's based out of Kansas. I can see that, he understands when it's not Kansas. But Scotty Young, who infamously did the Wizard of Oz series at Marvel Comics, is giving a good nod to a new Oz series at Image. It's the Patchwork Girl of Oz. This one is going to be done by Otis Frampton, who does great all ages books. Is going to be based off the 7th novel of L. Frank Baum's infamous Oz series. So you likely know about Dorothy, Toto, etc. But this is an actual canon character from L. Frank Baum's Oz series. It will be an adaptation of the 7th novel, which Scotty and Eric Shanower never, I believe, adapted. So if you love those classic Marvel Wizard of Oz books, this will be a great one for you. If you just want more in the tale of Oz outside of Kansas and without the need of a tornado, I think this one will be a great all ages one. Whether you're a longtime fan of the Wizard of Oz and its various series, whether you're loving Wicked as it's in theaters right now, or you are a young reader just looking for a fun adventure, the Patchwork Girl of Oz will likely be it. Another big one that I have to push out over at Image is Kieran Gillen's Power Fantasy. Power Fantasy has had a constant sellout of amazing release after release at Image. And if you've missed out on the issues or you can't track down a specific story, the trade paperback is going to be your answer. For just $10, you can get the new Power Fantasy trade paperback collecting the first 5 issues. And the coolest part is there is a direct market exclusive edition, meaning it's only available at local comic shops. So this is the unique cover you can see that is only available at comic shops. You can't find this at Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any of those other places. This is local comic shop exclusive with a beautiful cover by Casper Wijngaard, writing by Kieran Gillen. I mean, and you can look at some of the quotes on here. You know, everyone from Jonathan Hickman, James Tynion, I mean, you know, top, you know, review websites, all talking about how this is one of the most amazing books of 2024. And as always, a good reason to check out Previews World, because not only can you find all this extra information like good pull quotes, what the books contain, prices, and more, you will also be able to find previews pages if you want to get an idea of what these books are before you order them. Have you had the chance to read Power Fantasy yet, Kyle?
I have not. I have a weird Image problem right now, which is to say I'm getting entirely too much and I'm having to pick which things I'm getting only as trades.
So here's the opportunity for you.
Yes. And so this is one that the trade is on my FOC list that I turned in on Thursday. So, well, yesterday when I put my FOC list together. So I will get it when it comes out and we'll binge it in one read. But I'm also getting the direct market edition because the hair, man, the hair.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, they're both amazing covers, but I will always love the, you know, direct market option, because then on top of that, if you're looking for resale value, the direct market's always going to be the smaller print run, the rarer one, the one that people are looking for after the fact and they can't find at Barnes & Noble or the used bookstore or Amazon or Walmart or wherever you're buying your graphic novels when it's not the local comic shop. But
when it comes to trades, for me, it's always which cover is coolest. That's going to go be the one that goes on my shelf. And then a lot of times what I'll do, especially with these $10 trades, right? It's a really affordable price. So if I like it, I will go and buy the mass market edition. And that becomes my library copy. So my friends are like, what have you read that's good? Oh, here's Power Fantasy. And if I never get it back, it's $10. I'm not super sad because I still have the cool cover that I like. But at the same time, like, now I can spread it around and not have to worry about hurting my copy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the great thing with the Image $10 volume 1 trades. There's almost no reason to not get it. 5 issues. That means you're paying 50% less than you were buying them singly. You're paying $2 an issue on there. It's like going back to the 90s to buy a comic. I wish that we could get books at that price, and here you can. No reason not to, share the love of comics with everyone at that price. I mean, you can just start going out buying all your friends' graphic novels at $10 each.
Yeah.
But something I want to point out, good, shout there, Kyle, is you got your FOC list in early. Now, we always say get your FOC list to your local comic shop before Monday at 6 p.m. because that gives a very tight 3-hour window for comic shops to get everyone's orders in. But the sooner you get it to us, the better. Consider that a lot of people are probably putting in FOC lists. The sooner you get it to your local comic shop, the better.
And remember, a lot of FOC shops, depending on where you're at, they're doing their FOCs earlier than that deadline, right? That 6 o'clock deadline or whatever time that is. So find out from your local comic shop when their cutoff is, so that you can get it in before them. My local comic shop finalizes their FOC Friday at close of business. So Friday at 8 o'clock at night. So I've got to get my list in by then. So that's why I usually do it on Thursday and I email it in, and then I have all day Friday. If Mathias tells me something I don't know or a cover comes out, then I'm like, oh, I need to get that at the last second. I can always add, but I want to give them as much lead time as possible. So that's why I do it on Thursdays.
Yeah. I mean, and I can honestly say, so the actual absolute deadline is midnight going into Tuesday on the East Coast. But that's why I say 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time gives everyone that chance. But if you have an East Coast shop, that's already 9 p.m. Your comic shop owner and manager is probably at home, winding down from that long Monday. So the sooner you get it to your local comic shop, the better. But with that said, let's wrap up Image. Obviously, we get some more Energon Universe with Void Rivals. One big one is the return of World Tree, James Tynion's cybernetic, crazy epic. World Tree is a haunting series. We're getting the start of the third storyline, I believe, with this. Jordi Belair doing stunning artwork, and so cool having watched Jordi Belair go from colorist to writer to interior artist. Jordi is just super multi-talented, and this has been a unbelievable read. It reminds me of the first time I watched The Matrix. It's been that epic. So third storyline, you can reach out to your local shop and get the trade paperbacks on the first two if you missed out on them, and then definitely get your order in for World Tree number 12. The last big one I want to talk about at Image is Witchblade number 7. And you might be asking, well, why Witchblade number 7? That's the start of the second story arc, but what makes it so special? Well, if you take a look at the A cover there by the incomparable Mark Silvestri, the founder of Top Cow, there is a memorable character making his first appearance on that cover, as that is Jackie Estacado, aka The Darkness, making his first appearance in the new Witchblade universe. So if you guys remember roughly 30 years ago when Jackie first appeared in the original Witchblade number 10, that was a big deal book. It is still an iconic and valuable book. I don't see why this won't be the same, because we know for a fact that there will be a new Darkness ongoing series in 2025 by Mark Silvestri. You don't want to miss out on this. This is an incredible one. All right, so those are our big Image books. Let's go on to Boom. Boom doesn't have a huge amount of new things. It's mainly ongoing. So I won't go spend too much time on a lot of the continuing series. I will say that Farscape fans, if you want a Frelin good story, they're putting everything back into print in both hardcover and softcover at very affordable prices. The hardcover $60, the softcover $50, and that may sound pricey until you realize just how much content is in these books. But if you've ever been a fan of the classic sci-fi series Farscape, this is new content that gives extra story to some of your favorite characters on a show that unfortunately has been off the air for 20 years. Another one, though, I'm always going to be a Jim Henson fan. I don't know about you, Kyle. I love everything Jim Henson has ever had his name attached to, from Fraggle Rock to Dark Crystal to Labyrinth. And that's why I'm really excited about Jim Henson Presents.
So I will say this. I am not a Labyrinth kid.
Really?
No, I am a big Fraggle Rock, Muppets, Sesame Street guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like my Muppets happy, not vaguely depressed and tormented by David Bowie.
Well, yeah.
that said, like the stuff Henson did for the first season of SNL, incredible. These books, however, doesn't really matter because they're all perfect.
Yeah. Well, and the great thing I love about this is even if you're not the Labyrinth kid, if you like Fraggle Rock or even Farscape, as I just talked about, because that was a Jim Henson production, you get all of that in this. This is an anthology miniseries. It is 4 issues of short stories with a little bit of everything. So you're going to get some Labyrinth in this, undoubtedly, but you also get throughout the series some Farscape, some Fraggle Rock, some Dark Crystal, a little touch of all of it. And that makes me, as the big Jim Henson fanatic, just beyond excited.
Ironically, I think in my Christmas episodes rewatch, for the year, I think I'm up to the Fraggle Rock, the Bells of Fraggle Rock episode, which is their first Christmas episode.
Ah. Yeah, I mean, I will just forever be the Uncle Traveling Max fan.
For sure. I have an Uncle Traveling Matt Funko Pop. I've got an Uncle Traveling Matt plushie. I've got an actual Uncle Traveling Matt puppet, not a screen used one, but it's a full marionette style puppet. I've got a ton of that stuff from Fraggle Rock.
Oh, yeah, that's great. So yeah, if you are at all amused by the things we're talking about from Henson, you're going to love Jim Henson Presents. There's some great covers on there. I love that they had one that they just revealed. I know that I'm normally preloading this, but I have to show it off because they still don't have the cover artist announced on Previews World. But look at that amazing labyrinthian cover with Sir Didymus and everyone. Oh, it's everything that you would love about the Labyrinth in this beautiful cover. I really wish I knew who the artist was, and unfortunately, Diamond hasn't listed it yet.
And I will say this too: the Jim Henson Presents stuff, when they get into the mythology is always super strong and super correct. It's not like some bastardization of mythology. They're usually very true to the traditional stories, and at the same time, when they paint their characters on top of it, they do a really good job of not letting, oh hey, it's Sir Didymus from Labyrinth, take away from the story they're telling. It really does have that. The best way I could tell it is it's like Muppets Christmas Carol, right? Where it's like, okay, that is clearly Gonzo, but it doesn't matter to me that it's Gonzo because it doesn't read as Gonzo.
Yeah. Oh,
I hope that made sense, and I'm not just rambling.
No, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, in a similar vein that we can talk about is obviously we have the incredible Power Rangers series that Boom is doing, and they've done a great job. Whether you're a fan of any iteration of the TV series, those classic Sentai Warriors, the Power Ranger comics have been wonderful. But this new series, Power Rangers Prime, is getting a lot of attention because it's bringing in a completely different yet similar group, the VR Troopers. If you haven't read Power Rangers Prime yet, you need to go to your local comic shop, grab it, pop it open, and be shocked when you see the VR Troopers, even though I just told you that. But this is a cool one on the new Power Rangers #3. We're getting a reintroduction of Rita Repulsa, and obviously a very different aesthetic for Rita Repulsa there. A little bit younger looking, a little bit sexier looking, unless, that was your thing. But yes, Angel Grove is now going to have the VR Troopers. So...
Hot Rita Repulsa is like Rita not Repulsa. Like they need to change the name because she's not repulsive. What are you doing?
Yeah. But it was really cool just seeing that iconic staff. I remember when I first saw this solicit, I'm like, who's holding Rita's staff? And was shocked to discover that it was going to be Rita herself.
Right. Why is legally not Emma Frost holding Rita's staff right there? So
yeah. Oh, that is crazy. I got Diamond Comic Distributors calling me on the other line. So
maybe you should take and tell them to get their warehousing, and we'll take a break, and you yell at them about warehousing.
Yeah, well, let me just say also really quickly on Boom, Wind, The Power of the Blood, James Tynion's awesome fantasy series, has a second printing of #1 along with #2 on FOC. But with that, we're going to take a short commercial break, and then we'll come back with Marvel.
Boring old Tuesday. Kick it! Anyway, let's get to it.
Henri Copen scours collections and comic shops to bring you the biggest deals on beautiful comics.
I'm very eager to sell these books.
Plus, he smashes those other boring sales shows. Henri's got fire, excitement, personality, key books, FOMO books.
Sexy FOMO books for you.
A cute dog. Weird accents.
69, bro!
A wheel of skid bark?
There's a wheel spin at the end of every show.
You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll score huge bargains.
That is Haktua magic right there, all right?
Kicking it with Henri. Tuesday nights, part of the experience.
Twitch. It's not just what happens when you have too many energy drinks anymore. Check out our content over there, too. Programming on the EXP is made possible by viewers like you, or your local comic shop, or that Kickstarter you backed, or the publisher you like, or comic industry professionals who want to share a message with the world. Really, anyone who wants to advertise with us can. If you're interested in seeing a product you know and love, or are creating, or are publishing, or are involved with, advertised here on The Experience, and having your message shared with our viewers, please reach out by scanning the QR code below or visiting our website and using the contact form.
All right, we're back with more comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, December 16th. Remember, when you see one of these things that you want, one of these amazing covers or books, reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on that Monday to get us those orders and requests, so that way we can guarantee you those books are waiting behind the counter for you when you come in. The sooner you let us know, the easier it is to make sure we can guarantee that. So we're going to continue on with the Marvel comics that are on FOC this week, and there's a lot of great ones there. The first one, obviously, is the second printing of All New Venom #1, as we're continuing this amazing tale, we're starting again this amazing tale of who is the new Venom. And I love that this is like the water cooler conversation at the comic shop right now, is who it is. I have my theories. They haven't stated it in issue 1. I don't think we're going to find out until the end of the first story arc. This is going to be who is the new female Thor all over again. But have you any thoughts on this, Kyle? Do you know? Do you have a guess of who the new Venom is going to be?
I have a thought, but it's a thought that only I should think. And it's not a thought that I should vocalize to other humans.
Okay.
But the answer is me.
Oh, I do know that would make it your first appearance in a Marvel comic, so it could be a key issue. That's why you want the second printing.
Yeah, no, my thought on the whole who is the new Venom is that we can never have enough Venoms, so we should make more. And so I don't really care who the new one is. I just want there to be more Venoms.
See, I'm of the opinion that we have quite a few symbiote wielding characters in the Marvel Universe. I want to know who this is. I want to know who this one is. I've seen it, I don't get me wrong. I enjoyed Black Widow as Venom. I've enjoyed, Dylan as Venom. I even enjoyed Matt Gargan as Venom. But I want to know who this one is. So hopefully in the upcoming issues, we'll find out. So another cool one, we talked about it before on the FOC show, but Amazing Spider-Man 129, that first appearance of Punisher, is getting a facsimile, and there's a foil edition. I think this is the first time we've had a foil version of Amazing Spider-Man 129 in English. I know that they did a foil Mexican variant, but foil of that beautiful, beautiful Gil Kane cover. That's going to be awesome. So a lot of trade paperbacks and continuing series on Marvel. As always, go to previewsworld.com/finalordersdue, and you can see all of these. We're even getting posters that we'll talk about in a moment. But the big one is, you mentioned the idea that you always want more symbiote-wielding Venoms and the like in the Marvel Universe. Well, what happens when we repurpose one? Eddie Brock was iconically the first Venom. Not the first to wield that symbiote, because we got to give that to Peter Parker back in Secret Wars. But the first Venom. And now he's moved on to become the new Carnage. Spinning out of Venom War, we have Eddie Brock Carnage. You have the incredible Charles Soule, who has done everything from 8 Billion Genies to Star Wars, the High Republic novels. And he is going to tell us what it's like when Eddie Brock wields the symbiote of his once greatest enemy. So I think this is going to be, I'm not a huge Carnage fan. I'll be 100% honest, but I'm hugely excited for this series.
Yeah, definitely. My thing with the symbiotes, right, is that the most interesting part for me is how do different characters handle being symbiotic, right?
Yes.
Like, it's not necessarily, to me, the most interesting to have 19 Venoms. What's interesting to me is, okay, who are we putting the symbiote on, and how are they handling that? Because Eddie has a relationship, Flash has a relationship, all these different characters have different relationships with the symbiote, which makes it wildly interesting.
Oh, I think one of my favorite things in the recent Venom War miniseries was when Peter Parker was interacting with the Venom symbiote, and the Venom symbiote has changed and evolved so much that, said that he would not attach himself to Peter without consent being verbalized, because obviously he remembers that relationship prior to Amazing Spider-Man 300. And I'm like, wow, that is kind of a cool evolution to see, like, the 30 plus years of this Venom symbiote, or actually, wow, we're coming up on 40 years of the Venom symbiote. How to see how that's changed. So it is really cool seeing those interactions. And a lot of great covers on this Eddie Brock Carnage, I should point out. So all the more reason you want to reach out to your local comic shop and let us know what cover it is you want. I want to point out, though, whenever you see one that marks a number of a copy, so like 100 copy, that means it is an incentive ratio variant. So stores, to qualify for, say, this virgin variant of Iban Coelho's Eddie Brock Carnage, have to order 100 copies of the regular covers. So that means that that's going to be a little bit more expensive than the price listed on Previews World, and not all stores qualify. So you want to reach out to your local comic shop in advance of Final Order Cutoff to see if they'll have that cover available and how much it'll cost. But I'm sure your store will thank you for doing that if you're interested. Some great facsimiles, as I mentioned, the Amazing Spider-Man 129 reprinting the first Punisher. We also get Fantastic Four #2 reprinting the second issue of Fantastic Four by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Now, this is really cool because I personally don't own a Fantastic Four #2, and I don't know that I could afford to buy one right now. But being able to get a $5 reprint that has all the original advertisements and the like, I'm all in on this. Sorry, DC, but I'm all in on this Marvel reprint. And of course, there's trade paperbacks that also fulfill that, with lots of those on print. One of the other things I need to talk about is Power Man Timeless. Now, I'm a huge Luke Cage fan, but I don't think I'm anywhere near as huge of a Luke Cage fan as I am a Danny Rand Iron Fist fan. I love Iron Fist. So Power Man Timeless hits me in a very unique way because the incredible creative writing team of Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, the hive mind of writers, have brought us a very unique version of Luke Cage that first appeared in the Timeless one-shot. It is an alternate universe where Luke Cage has absorbed the powers of Sentry, the Hulk, and my man, Iron Fist. And now he is in the main 616 Marvel universe with all those powers trying to get back. This is going to be a really fun mini-series. I think that Bernard Chang, who is also a super talented artist, I remember first discovering at Valiant 30 years ago, is going to be the man to really draw this out. There are some incredible covers that we'll be talking about later when we do our cover recap at the end. But Colin Kelly, Jackson Lansing, these guys have been really subtly shaping the Marvel Universe. Everything from giving us Kang's origin in the Kang miniseries. They were doing Thunderbolts back when the Thunderbolts movie was supposed to come out. They did Captain America, Steve Rogers. Like, it's almost like they're the ones setting up the MCU at the moment. So definitely pay attention to this book. This is going to be a big one. I have to bring Jackson and Colin onto the show for an interview at some point, right, Kyle?
We could definitely make that happen. I definitely am very interested in this book. The Bernard Chang art is the thing that really is selling me right now on it. I have weird Power Man things, like Junie Ba's Power Man is maybe my favorite Power Man, but like Bernard Chang is going to have a very interesting take on it, which will make the art in this book unlike any Power Man we've seen before.
Absolutely. And really quickly, because I showed the tab earlier, I want to go back and point out posters. So the big event in 2025 for Marvel is going to be One World Under Doom. And while we're far from ordering the comics on Final Order Cutoff, we do have the poster available. And we often forget that comic shops have the ability to order posters. Not all comic shops carry posters because they are a very large, space-consuming item, but they can all order them. So if you ever see on FOC any posters that you want, definitely let your comic shop know, because it's an easy thing for us to tack it on to an order these days, with multiple distributors from Diamond to Penguin Random House being able to ship those out to us. This is a very amazing item. If you ever see those art, I mean, there's quite a few posters on FOC this week, but One World Under Doom. I don't know that I'd bend a knee to that Latvian dictator, but I'm excited to see what he does as the Sorcerer Supreme. So continuing on, another one that I think has been completely slept on by the majority of readers is the incomparable Steve Orlando Scarlet Witch run recently. We've introduced brand new characters, like in recent issues, Amarath. We also got Kat Dennings' character from the Thor movies. Do you remember her name, Kyle?
The hot one?
Yeah. But
that's the name I remember, because I try to not remember the Thor movies.
Yeah, but Kat Dennings' character finally got brought into the actual comic continuity in the Scarlet Witch run. But yes, it just gets better and better. So with issue number 9, we're getting Felicia Hardy, Black Cat, drawn into it. So you're not only going to get Amarath, Scarlet Witch, Black Cat, and I'm just going to keep saying Kat Dennings' character. Oh, man, Marvel really owes Kat Dennings more money for that. But this has been a fun one. Beautiful Russell Dodderman cover, but it's hardly the best cover out there. There's some amazing, amazing Scarlet Witch covers. We'll come back to that later. Another one, obviously, after last week's guest on the show. If you didn't watch last week's episode, we interviewed Eric M. Gist. Go back and watch last week's episode. It still has value for that great interview. But he has some amazing covers on another brand new Charles Soule series. A Week of Charles Soule is Star Wars Legacy of Vader. As you guys may know, Star Wars and Darth Vader have ended as we hit issue 50 on both of those series, and they finally reached the Return of the Jedi. So now we're getting new content post Return of the Jedi in comics. And Legacy of Vader actually takes place during the Star Wars sequel films between episode 8 and 9, with flashbacks to the Purge era, the original trilogy era, and even post Return of the Jedi stories as you're going to get the Knights of Ren, more Darth Vader tales, and of course, Kylo Ren himself. So Charles Soule was the man who did the sold out Kylo Ren miniseries a few years back. I think this is going to be absolute fire. Kylo Ren may not be my favorite Sith. Maybe he is yours. But I guarantee you one of my favorite Siths will end up being in this series because we have Vader. We're even going to have, like I said, the Knights of Ren. This is going to be a big one. So find out more about Supreme Leader Kylo Ren and the history of Darth Vader. A lot of great covers that, once again, we'll talk about in our cover recap later. A lot of great covers, including a first cover appearance of Mother Anicia from The Acolyte. So if you like The Acolyte, for Black History Month in February, there's going to be a bunch of Star Wars covers with Acolyte characters. So that'll be a really big one if you're collecting first appearances, and good speculatory purchasing if you're looking for something that might go up in value. All right.
I don't know how I feel about The Acolyte yet. I haven't decided if I like it or not.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I love the concepts and the idea of the story more than I love the presentation. But, you know, one thing I can't deny, Skeleton Crew is probably one of the best Star Wars things in a while. And I cannot wait for a comic of Skeleton Crew.
For sure.
Also, another just beautiful cover I have to show off of that Vader, you know, John Jang. Amazing. All right. So, last big one I really want to push on, Uncanny X-Men has been selling out of stores left and right. There is a third printing of #1 with a beautiful new cover. So if you want Gail Simone's Uncanny X-Men, now's the time to reach out to your store and guarantee you can still hop on this at #1. But yeah, a lot of great covers as always on FOC for Marvel. Now let's talk about Dynamite. I mean, you know a little bit about Dynamite, Kyle, right? They're a decent publisher.
I know they have a lot of books with collars.
Yeah.
that's our universal term around here for cleavage.
Ah, there you go. What's the safe word, eh?
Yeah, that's the safe word.
Okay, so Dynamite, as always, loves to have a million covers, and they're often just magnificent pieces of art. So always check out previewsworld.com/finalorderstew for all of the amazing Dynamite covers, and let your local comic shop know which cover you want. Because when there's 50 some odd covers that are all amazing, we sometimes have to pick and choose, and we want to make sure we pick and choose the ones you want to actually pick up. So great continuations with Barbarella, including, you know, stunning covers by, you know, Joseph Michael Linsner. There's cosplay covers with, you know, faces by Raichi. Lots of fun there as Barbarella, Powerpuff Girls, and Terminator continue on this week. Then we're going to move on to the more indie items. A lot of great ones there. I love the Archie is Mr. Justice, returning to a classic Archie character. We got to talk a lot about Archie today. I mean, Kyle and I were discussing Archie artwork earlier before the show started. Cena got to talk about his awesome Jughead run. And now we got Archie is Mr. Justice #2 with some stunning covers.
Archie's one of those publishers, and I will say this, that a lot of people still kind of poo-poo on because Archie, they feel like it's kids' books or they feel like it's old school. And the best line I can give you is from The Big Bang Theory. It's not your mother's Archie. There's zombies now, and Midge broke up with Moose. Like, the reality is it's not the same goofy Archie it always was. There are still that out there. It's fantastic. But there's so much more depth in the Archie books now that if you haven't looked at one in a while, you probably should.
Oh, yeah. The various Chilling Adventures titles are phenomenal horror that are definitely adult and mature. You know, we're getting like the Goofy miniseries. We're getting all these incredible band crossovers, and they're getting top tier writers. I mean, Tom King, you know, the Eisner Award-winning Tom King actually wrote a one-shot where Archie had to make a choice finally between Betty and Veronica. I won't spoil the ending, but it's not what you think.
His head explodes. Literally, his head explodes.
Oh, man. Well, it's Tom King. What else would you expect?
Right? But no, it's when Archie started getting Francisco Francavilla to do covers, I went, you know what? I'm going to go back and start over. And so I read all of that Afterlife stuff and all of the zombie Archie stuff. And it really is fantastic. So make sure you check it out.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I remember my first time when Afterlife with Archie, the title you were talking about, started coming out. I was ordering it for my shop, but I hate to admit I wasn't reading it because I had that same mentality, like, oh, it's Archie, whatever. And I was in Las Vegas at a really cool local comic shop there called Alternate Reality Comics, and the owner, Ralph Matthew, was asking if I read it, and I said, no, I haven't. He's like, well, here's a copy, and he gave me a copy of issue number one. Like I don't have a comic shop, that I go home to and own copies there. That's how nice Ralph was. He's just like, hey, I know, but I'm comping you one of my copies. And I read it on my flight back home, and oh, it was amazing, just amazing. So of course I went home and upped my orders very heavily. But also a good sign of how wonderful this community and industry is, where you could have stores that are technically in competition of one another, and we're all still friends. We're all still, trading, tales, helping each other out. And that's why I love this industry and why I love a local comic shop and why hopefully you guys are reaching out to your local comic shop and placing orders or asking for recommendations. Because like I said, Ralph, without that recommendation, I don't know that I would have the love of Archie that I have right now.
Right. Shout out to Ralph. Just overall, one of the best out there.
Yeah. So on a completely opposite end, but in the same vein of horror, EC is back. Yes, Entertaining Comics. EC is back at Oni Press, and Epitaphs from the Abyss was their first relaunch of EC, the first EC title in 63 years to have new content. It was originally to be a 6-issue miniseries. It was so successful they continued it to be a 12-issue miniseries. Issue 7, the first originally unsolicited issue, is on FOC this week, and it has an all-star list of writers. It is still a horror anthology with unique one-shot stories, and this one is going to have writing by Matthew Rosenberg of What's the Furthest Place from Here and 4 Kids Walk into a Bank, with an upcoming movie in production. Cullen Bunn, a master of horror, Chris Condon, and then you're getting artwork by Tyler Crook and Dustin Weaver. Dustin Weaver! Like, oh, I literally have artwork behind the camera here by him. He is such a A-list top-tier artist. So this has got me beyond excited to say.
Well, and you guys got to watch these EC books. You got to make sure you check who's in it. There's a lot of artists that you know and love who have wanted to write for EC their whole career, and it hasn't existed. Now it's back, so they're knocking Hunter's door down at over at Oni, going, "Hey, can I do it?" And it's like, "Oh, holy crap! There, look at the lineup on this book. Oh, look at the lineup on that book. Even their Christmas book that came out this week had just a monster lineup, and it had original EC content from the 50s that was never published before. So you're getting stuff that, like, again, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to kind of grab some of this stuff.
Oh yeah, and then I mean, as you're saying, A-list creators: Jason Aaron, Adam Hughes. I mean, we're just talking like insanely big name creators that DC and Marvel would love to hire. I mean, in some cases do, on a short horror story in an Oni Press book. So gotta love the EC stuff. But yeah, a lot of great continuing series, as you'll see if you go to Previews World. There is a brand new Frankenstein set in the Hellboy universe for Mike Mignola in the way of Frankenstein New World, Sea of Forever. Another one that I'm loving, if you haven't checked it out, this one, it definitely has the sexy pinup feel, but if you haven't read Gun Honey or Heat Seeker, these are amazing ones. Charles Ardine does these really great pulp stories that just feel so James Bond-esque. And then you get these overly sexy covers by people like Kunkka, Kendrick Lim, Derek Chu, Adam Hughes. Like everyone is hopping on these amazing covers. But if you want good classic pulp, if you want spy thriller and all that, Charles is a great writer for that. And the Gun Honey and Heat Seeker series are phenomenal. And then you get some very mature covers, as you can see on there too. Thankfully, all censored. But yeah, keep in mind, censored on Previews World. If you're ordering it, it will come uncensored. But thankfully, it'll come polybagged, so as your local comic shop will not be revealing naughty bits to the local audience that are walking in the store.
And a fun little thing you can do if you're a local comic shop is take a Post-it note and put it on the outside of the polybag and write 80085 on it or BEWBS. You know, have some fun with letting people know what they're buying.
Yeah.
Without like having to necessarily be like super exposing to potentially customers that aren't digging it.
Yeah. Actually, I've learned in my personal experience at my shop, we'll do the post-it note censorship, and it leads to the book selling more just because people want to see what's underneath the post-it note. It's taped on. You can't do that. You got to buy
I sold so many copies of Sex Criminals doing
that. Which is the thing I love about that one. Every time we say it, I have to, explain Sex Criminals, wonderful comedy about robbing banks. And yet everyone instantly gets a little worried. But my favorite story about that, I don't know if you know, Matt Fraction, when he was getting checks from Image Comics for writing Sex Criminals, the memo on all of his paychecks would say Sex Criminals. So imagine having to go to the bank and, hand him that paycheck. How awkward that is.
Yeah, that's pretty great. But also that I'm sure Maddie was like the proudest he's ever been in that moment. Like that just seems like it's his sense of humor.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Another one I feel, that I neglected to, have preloaded, but is an important one, is the new Minecraft graphic novel from Dark Horse. My son is a huge Minecraft fan. I will never stop hearing about everything Mojang is doing whenever he's home. So this is a great one. If you know somebody who's a big Minecraft fan, or you have a kid who is just going on and on about Minecraft, you can put it in front of them and they're reading. They're excited to be doing it. And, I'm not going to lie. It's better than putting them in front of the screen. I like that my son is such a talented video game player, but I like it more when he's got a book in his hand. So Josh Hicks writing and drawing it. Very awesome. Next big one that I really want to talk about, first off, is the Pedestrian trade paperback. Magma, a wonderful supporter of us. The Pedestrian is Joey Esposito's incredible story about a normal human who tries to do good. And it is a very fun and goofy mystery with the stunning artwork of Sean Von Gorman that everyone loves. I mean, I don't think I've met an artist in recent history that is beloved by everybody in the comic book industry as Sean Von Gorman. He is like the number one, you go to an artist alley at a convention and everyone talks him up.
It's true. And super nice guy.
Yeah.
Little eccentric for some people, but that's what I like about him. He can match my energy. So, super fun. I mean, walking around with him and the Pedestrian cutout at Baltimore Comic-Con and just watching the old heads give us weird looks was maybe the best part of the show for me.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you do that. I'll have to talk to you about that later. That's an interesting, astounding story.
It was a good time.
Okay, so next up, Pinup-Ocalypse. This one has me very excited. I'm looking forward to reading this like nobody's business. It is some of my favorite art style in the way of pinup art with a zombie apocalypse. So you're going to get an awesome pulp-esque female pinup / detective doing a very 1950s set with a zombie apocalypse. And I love that they make comparatives to, like Ed Wood, Sam Raimi, Edgar Wright, some of my favorite directors. This is going to be a very fun one from Massive. A lot of great covers, including a Walking Dead #1 homage. And we always know homages do really great on the aftermarket. They're highly collectible and highly sought after. Walking Dead, one of the most popular indie comics of the modern era. So you can do no wrong on this. Like, at very least, worth picking up for that cover. And hopefully the interiors are as exciting as I hope they are. And it'll be something where I'm on for all 6 issues. So, Pinup-Ocalypse. Great name, too. All right. Another big one that I have to talk up. This is a trade paperback, but I feel everyone slept on the single issues. Ryan Little's Rick and Morty Kingdom Balls. I love the now I can't remember the name of the video game, Kingdom Hearts. I love the Kingdom Hearts video game series. Big Final Fantasy and Disney fan. So that was in itself great. But then doing a Rick and Morty parody of Kingdom Hearts, you got me. I'm hooked. So
Bows, everybody bows.
Yeah. So Josh Trillo and Ryan Little writing it with Jarrett Williams art. And I mean, the cover gives you the idea of the interior artwork. This was a fun mini series. I wish it was more than 4 issues, but I'm glad there's a trade paperback so everyone can have access to it now. So those are what I wanted to talk about on Previews World. We still have DC to discuss, so we're going to switch off of previewsworld.com/finalordersdue to switch over to Lunar Distribution. But if there was more you wanted to see, you can check that website out and see all the rest of those comics on Final Order Cutoff due this Monday, December 16th. But let's hop over to Lunar Distribution and talk about DC.
While you make a transition, I just want to pop on real quick and let everybody know we have other shows here on the Experience today. Nick Barucci will be here 7 o'clock with the Original Art Show. Nancy will be here at 9 o'clock with Friday Night Live from Comics Unlimited. Sunday, I will be here with Jay and maybe some other characters for the Producers Live Sale. But Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, from 8 to 10 Eastern, we will be doing a benefit live sale where we will be selling product here on the Experience, and all the money will be going to Monarch Comics in Toledo, Ohio, which is my LCS for a long, long, long time. They had a terrible fire this week and lost the store, so we're raising money to help them rebuild. So if you're available for those things, show up. The rest of the schedule we'll talk about other time.
Yeah, I'm excited about the art show that Nikki's doing tonight. I got to see some of the art that's coming, and it is A-list artwork. I know I bought actually a piece of art from his show last week, so that'll be fun. And then a huge shout out to Kyle for helping raise money for Monarch. It sucks when anything happens to a local comic shop because they're small businesses, they're mom and pop organizations. Hopefully you're watching this in your local comic shop or because of your local comic shop, and we all know it'd be horrible if anything were to happen to it. So I love that once again the community can come together and help out after a massive tragedy like the fire that burned down Monarch Comics. So huge shout out to Kyle for helping put that together.
Well, and fire is literally the worst thing for us because not only do we sell food for fire, but then the thing you use to put fire out also ruins our product. So like it's a lose, 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 lose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jay Lee, special guest tonight on the Original Art Show.
Woo, Jay Lee, yeah. Oh, I love Jay. From his classic Namor issues all the way through Dark Tower, and then the millions of amazing covers he does these days for Dynamite and DC and Boom. Oh, great stuff. So, okay, on that note of DC, let's talk about Lunar Distribution. You can go to lunardistribution.com to see all these FOC titles. The big one is the Absolute line. Obviously, Absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman have been selling gangbusters worldwide. I personally will die on this hill that Absolute Wonder Woman is the best of the trilogy. I know that some people think Absolute Batman is, and I'm sorry that they're wrong. Like I'm going to get so many hateful comments in the chat there, but Absolute Wonder Woman, the best. So you get another chance to have that proved to you with a third printing of issue number 1 and a second printing of issue number 2 on FOC this week. But the best part is we also get to order issue number 4. And look at this Mathias Lewis cover. That is stunning because as if Wonder Woman wasn't already a tour de force, her with a Buster-sized sword, once again, my Final Fantasy reference, going up against Cerebus. There is your DC, as it says right there on the cover, all in. But a lot of great covers on that, so please let your local comic shop know. I can honestly say at my shop, I have a large amount of subscribers, but I'm still selling way more than I have subscribers. So I've yet to hit my perfect number on any of the Absolute titles, and I would love it if more of my customers, committed saying, I need this every month. Every month I need the new Absolute Wonder Woman or Absolute Batman or Superman. And I guarantee you, your local comic shop, if it's not my shop, would also feel the same way. Let us know what you want, especially if you want multiple covers. Because I've been seeing with this more than anything else recently, the Absolute titles, everybody wants all of the covers. I mean, and I can see why. They're beautiful covers. But, man, it's hard to order for. Oh, look at that Vila Lobos cover. Really take that in for a moment. So a lot of great DC titles on FOC that you can check out at lunardistribution.com. Big one I need to also point out is DC Horror Presents. It is the final issue of this 4-issue horror anthology, but this one has a story by Patton Oswalt himself, the famous actor and comedian. He's working with his writing partner, Jordan Bloom. You also get some great covers on this. So, fun one to wrap up. You don't need to read the first 3 issues to dive in because they're all standalone horror stories set in the DC universe. Then
shout out to Patton Oswalt and Jordan Bloom and their book, The Writer, as well. Fantastic book. So they're on fire. So I can't wait to see what they do in a DC Horror Presents.
Did Patton do the writer? I thought that was the voice of
Josh Gad.
Josh Gad, yes.
You're right, but Jordan Bloom is writing it with him.
Okay, yeah. And then Patton and Jordan are also doing Minor Threats.
Yes.
That's
why I started reading The Writer, because I love Minor Threats.
Yeah. Oh, man, yeah. So we obviously had the incredible Cena Grace in at the beginning of the show. If you missed that, when we go back, when we re-air this, go back, rewind, watch it. Cena had a lot of great things to say, but if you're a Sex and the City fan or not, you probably know this iconic image that featured Carrie Bradshaw, aka Sarah Jessica Parker. Did I get that right?
Yes, I believe.
Sarah Jessica Parker doing that iconic scene from Sex and the City. Now we get Lex Luthor doing it. So beautiful Amanda Connor cover. This is going to be a fun one-shot anthology of romance stories to get you ready for Valentine's Day with its February release. But just all sorts of fun. Cena writing and drawing a full Lex Luthor story. Beautiful covers by Sowie and Sozo Micah too. We also, of course, have to point out, like this was an image one that I neglected to point out earlier. Mark Spears, the ultra popular artist who's doing Mark Spears Monsters. He's doing a lot of DC books. They got him on a Gunslinger Spawn cover there. Really great. Tom Taylor's Epic Detective Comics continues on. This is our second appearance of Asima, a deadly new threat for Gotham. So make sure you're grabbing that. And then I have a dog running behind me, so that makes it all sorts of interesting. We have continuing titles like Flash, G.I. Joe, Green Arrow, but Harley Quinn is awesome. Harley Quinn is doing the Rent equivalent of DC right now, as we get a story of Harley fighting for better rent control in Gotham. I kid you not, that is the story. And always amazing covers, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in our cover recap shortly. So are you reading Justice League Unlimited, Kyle?
I am not currently reading Justice League Unlimited. My DC pulls right now are really low. Just purely because of the fact of at some point you got to cut yourself off, right, and not spend too much money. And I'm focusing on the ultimates or the absolute stuff. This will be one that when the trade hits will be a quick order for me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because if you read the DC All-In special that started the Absolute Universe, you also got the other half of the story was setting up Justice League Unlimited. And Mark Waid is, has just been going for grand slam swings every single issue. This one sets up the Atom Project, which is a spin-off miniseries that we FOC'd last week, featuring not only the two shape or size changing atoms, but Captain Atom. So we get to see this set up in Justice League Unlimited #3 and how it ties into the grander scheme of the DC universe. Some absolutely stunning covers in there, like Simone DeMeo and Nathan Zerdy, that also give you more Captain Atom vibe. But I mean, that Nathan Zerdy cover, just like Nathan knows how to draw sexy. What can I say?
Yeah, that's a pretty cover.
Yeah, every single one of these covers on Justice League Unlimited is just absolutely stunning. So if you want to take a look at them all, you can do that on lunardistribution.com. Another fun one is they've been doing facsimile of untraditionally sized comics. For Batman Day, we got a Detective Comics 27 printed in original size of the Golden Age. But the thing I love is they've been doing the limited collector's editions of the 60s and 70s, where they're the oversized treasury editions. And like, I don't know if I can even show that size on camera, but I mean, they're huge. And this one reprints issue 48, which has the Superman Flash race. And it reprints it with everything, including like the Carmine Infantino How to Draw Flash. I mean, and if I could learn how to draw Flash from any one comic individual, if Carmine Infantino was still with us, I wish I could do it in person, but I'll take a reprint that explains it from Carmine's perspective. Awesome book. And I mean, it's much more affordable than getting a Treasury edition traditionally. You're getting brand new, better cardstock paper, $15 for that reprint. It's good. So a lot of the DC is just continuing items. We do have the Incredible Power Girl continuing on. We have Superman hitting issue 22. But a lot of it, is a little bit thinner. I think we've just been pounding comic shops with FOC related lists as we get into the holidays, because it'll be a little bit thinner over the next 2 weeks. They were just really compressed early on. So it's calming it down a little bit thinner this week. I do want to point out the beautiful sweater weather covers. We often get comics that, that do the sexy females, all the amazing Wonder Woman, Power Girl, Supergirl covers, Poison Ivy. And the sweater weather covers on those have been incredible. But I love getting to see the other end too. When you get to see the sexy male characters like Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson, and this one of Superman cooling off just outside of the Fortress of Solitude with a little bit of Antarctic ice he is warmed up with his laser vision. It's just a fun cover. Like, whether you particularly find it sexy or not, someone is. But even if you don't find it sexy, you can at least find it funny and, just enjoyable. It is a great cover. The subtlety of the Superman S hidden up in the clouds. Awesome stuff. But that is FOC this week, realistically. It was a nice short one at Lunar Distribution, even though we ran a little long on today's show. So I think it's time that we do our big cover recap, our new program we're going to be doing each episode. Right, Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let's talk about our top 10 covers, the top 10 things on FOC this week. And we're going to start off with number 10 is that Power Girl 17 cover by Mathias Lewis. This is an amazing cover, not only because it is a sexy Power Girl cover, but it's the perspective, I think, that really sells it on there. You're getting that long shot as Power Girl is just showing how strong she is, how easily she can fly through Metropolis and other cities, literally with her hands behind her head. Awesome cover right there. Power Girl covers always do great. Archie does an homage to a classic George Perez cover. That was the Crisis on Infinite Earths, I want to say issue number 8 cover. But Archie, Mr. Justice number 2, homage covers always do well. And Matt Talbot did a good twist, because instead of having the dead character in, the Superman equivalent's arms, you get Veronica being a very lively and Veronica character. Power Man Timeless. Obviously, you heard my excitement about Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly's run earlier on this, but this Ken Lashley cover for Black History Month is stunning. Ken always, you guys might know him more as Lead Killer, is often how he signs these things, but Ken just knocking that out of the park. I mean, you really get to see all of the power there, from the Cape of Sentry to the Iron Fist, lit up there. Like, you even get to see the somewhat hulkish strength of Power Man's body, kind of the Maestro beard. It's an awesome one. Now, this is one I think is amazing. We discussed earlier that Rita Repulsa is back. She's a younger version than we are used to seeing her in the old Power Rangers TV series. But Dust in the Wind did a surprise FOC variant. So surprised that it still doesn't say it's Dust in the Wind on Previews World or in the solicit, but that is Dust in the Wind doing that, and amazing. Great spotlight on the new Rita. Rita that's hard to call Repulsa with that. Then we get another point at Jim Henson Presents, which is going to be a best of all the Jim Henson things. This one obviously has a Labyrinth tale in there. And we get to see our Goblin King, David Bowie, a.k.a. Jareth, celebrating his God knows how many years birthday. I don't want to take the time to count the candles. If somebody wants to do that and throw that math in the comment for me, I'd appreciate it. But, of course, you got to have a birthday cake for the Goblin King himself.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah, I think actually I'm gonna do a wild guess. I don't know, but I believe it is the 40th anniversary of the Labyrinth this year. If
that is
I'm
correct,
correct.
something
So
like that.
that's probably 40 candles.
Well, and the reality is, what does he have to wish for? He just makes whatever he wants come true. So, like,
he wishes for an heir, my son.
Yeah.
All right, there's the big one. First appearance of the Darkness in the new Witchblade universe, the new Top Cow universe of modern continuity. And it's Mark Silvestri, the man who created the Darkness before, and will be at the helm of the upcoming Darkness series in 2025. So if you're excited about that upcoming Darkness series, you're a big Mark Silvestri fan or Top Cow fan, this is the book, this is the cover. And Witchblade's been doing really good. I mean, obviously, the last Mark Silvestri cover on Witchblade was the 1-in-25 ratio of his Uncanny X-Men homage, where we got to see Sarah Pazzini, the Witchblade, on the Giant X. So I think this could be a hot one too. This is going to be an in-demand one. David Nakayama. That's all I really have to say on this. But I love that this kind of gives a vibe that not only reminds me of the Harley Quinn animated series that Max is airing and is absolutely brilliant. So you get that Clayface Harley Quinn combo. You get Harley Quinn's brand new outfit as done by David Nakayama, which is amazing. But my favorite part is this really just reminds me of the movie, what was it, Ghost?
Yeah,
Ghost. But like I can just imagine Clayface and Harley working together on shaping that that horrible clay figure.
It just makes me think of what is it, Tony? I can't think of his last name from the episode of Community. No ghosting when he teaches pottery class.
7 seasons in the movie.
Soon.
Yeah, I love that we actually have the movie on the way. But yeah, it's rare that you get a sexy cover that is also funny. Normally, we have to rely on Amanda Connor always being the one who can perfect that. But David Nakayama, that is great. You get a sexy Harley Quinn with her new outfit, and it's just a hilarious cover that hits like so many references and points. I love it. Now, this one I did not only because of this cover, but because of the whole theme. Mark Brooks, who's a super talented artist and known for doing some absolutely stunning, near photorealistic covers, is doing Disney-style animated covers for the entirety of February and March. And this one is probably my favorite on FOC this Monday on Phoenix number 8. But we get both Jean Grey and her clone, our Goblin Queen right there, Madeline Pryor. And I just love seeing them in that Disney animated. Like, I would love to watch this version of, instead of Frozen, I guess it would be to be Lit. But I can hear the music from these Disney princesses already. All right, now we're in the top 2. So guest of last week, E.M. Gist, Eric Gist, doing this amazing cover on Star Wars Legacy of Vader #1. I got to watch him, finalize this artwork. It is amazing because the actual piece of artwork looks just like this cover, proving why Eric is such a great artist. But he's also a super talented and high demanded artist. Like, he has hour-long lines at conventions. Whenever he does exclusive variants, they sell out like that. So this is going to be the cover on an already hit series with this big new relaunch of Star Wars with Legacy of Vader, written by Charles Soule. Everything about this screams, you need this. So reach out to your local comic shop and let them know.
All right.
And here's the big one. This is my #1 pick of the week, and you can likely see why. This is a third printing with a brand new cover on Absolute Wonder Woman #1. If you don't own Absolute Wonder Woman #1, you need to buy this book. It is amazing. The first 2 printings are probably sold out at your local comic shop. Hopefully, if you know, maybe if they did really big orders, you can still grab them. But this 3rd printing is going to be big. That cover is amazing. It is Larry Lee doing it, and you get everything about it. You get the new uniform, you get that giant sword, and you get the skeleton Pegasus. Everything about that is untouchable, phenomenal. Like, best of the covers, and it's a 3rd printing. So I hate to say, the orders are going to be notably lower than the 1st or 2nd printing, making this almost probably rarer than some of the ratio variants on Absolute Wonder Woman #1's 1st printing.
Knowing what I know now about Pegasi and unicorns in the DC universe, having a red-eyed skeleton version, I'm good.
Yeah.
Don't need it. Nightmares are strong enough.
Oh no, man! I will get my bag of Skittles out to keep that thing well fed.
True, but like the problem is Joey doesn't share food. So I'm not sharing my Skittles. So like now we have a problem.
Hey, sometimes they just got to taste the rainbow. I almost did the full line from Shazam, and then I realized I got to censor this. We want people to watch and share this.
Yeah.
But yeah, phenomenal cover. So those are the big 10 covers that we think you got to reach out to your shop and order this week. Remember to contact your local comic shop. The sooner the better with anything it is that you want. Ooh, I like that. Skegasis. That is a good name. But reach out to your local comic shop with any of the covers you want, any of the books you want to order, any adjustments to your pull box, subscription list, or pull list. The sooner you can do it, the better. But make sure you get it by the latest 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Monday, December 16th. A lot of great comics. We will be back next Friday with more FOC, though probably a shorter show or maybe some more padding with some great interviews and other guests, some wonderful riffs between me and Kyle. And don't forget to tune in tonight for some awesome artwork for sale with special guest Jay Lee on Nikki's, what is the name of Nikki's art show?
The Original Art Experience.
The Original Art Experience here on The Experience. So thank you guys so much for watching. Get those orders in, support your local comic shop, and prepare yourself for a wonderful holiday season.
See you later.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere The Experience is all the time.